Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be taking a deep dive into A Man Called Ove, the heartwarming and hilarious novel by Fredrik Backman.
Oh, I love this book.
Me too.
It's one of my favorites, actually.
So good. We're going to be walking you through Ove's life chapter by chapter, really uncovering the story of this, grumpy yet lovable curmudgeon. You'll get to know him as he navigates love, loss, and some pretty unexpected friendships along the way.
Yes, definitely. It all begins, of course, with our main character, Ove, a 59-year-old Swede known for his strict adherence to rules and, well, shall we say, less than friendly demeanor.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a stickler for the rules, that's for sure.
Right. And the story unfolds in two timelines. We have the present, where Ove is grappling with the recent loss of his wife, and then we go back to the past, which reveals the events that shaped him into the man he is today.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. What was Ove's childhood like? Tell us about his early life.
Well, Ove's early life was marked by tragedy, unfortunately. He lost his mother at the young age of 8, leaving him to be raised by his hardworking father, who was a railway man, through and through.
It sounds like his dad was a big influence.
Oh, absolutely. And Ove spent his formative years immersed in the world of trains, learning the values of honesty, hard work, and integrity from his dad.
I can just imagine those sights and sounds of the railway shaping his world.
Oh, totally. And you know what? It's on those very tracks that we see Ove's character really being tested early on.
Really? How so?
So he finds a wallet. It's got a considerable amount of money in it. And despite the, temptation, he chooses to turn it in.
Wow, that's some serious integrity right there.
It is. And this act of honesty, well, it puts him on a collision course with his coworker, Tom, who represents everything Ove despises, basically.
Okay, so Tom's like the opposite of Ove.
Exactly. Dishonesty, laziness, just a lack of principles.
That's like a real pain.
Yeah, you could say that. Their conflict really comes to a head when Tom accuses Ove of stealing the money from the wallet.
Oh, wow. So that must have been pretty rough for Ove, especially after doing the right thing.
It was. But thankfully, Ove's father, he knows his son's true character, of course, and he rebuilds his integrity with a gift. A sob.
Oh, the sob. That becomes kind of iconic, doesn't it?
It really does. It embodies his father's love, their shared values, becomes a tangible link to his past.
Right. More than just a car.
Exactly.
So what happens to Ove after that?
Well, tragedy strikes again. Ove's father passes away,
Oh,
leaving him orphaned at 16, with only his house and that sob as his inheritance.
losing both parents at such a young age, that must have been incredibly difficult. How did he cope with all these losses?
He channels his grief into action. He takes on his father's job at the railway and faces a new challenge. The city wants to buy his house, tear it down.
Oh, so like the house represents something to him, a connection.
Oh, absolutely. It's his connection to his family, his history, and he's determined to protect it. So he takes a job at a construction site to learn how to rebuild and renovate, showing that unwavering determination.
He's resourceful, then.
Very resourceful, but his life at the railway, it's disrupted once again thanks to Tom's scheming, and he ends up losing his job.
Oh, man, that Tom.
Yeah, a real piece of work. But Ove finds a small moment of retribution, He confronts Tom and reclaims his stolen watch, effectively ending Tom's reign of terror.
Okay, so it sounds like a small victory, but an important one for Ove, reaffirming his belief in justice.
It is. And just when Ove seems to find a rhythm in his life, another disaster strikes. His beloved house, the one he painstakingly rebuilt, it catches fire.
Oh, no, not the house.
And guess who he encounters while trying to save his home? The men in white shirts.
Oh, those guys. Tell me about those guys.
Oh, the men in white shirts. They seem to represent the bureaucratic forces that often clash with Ove's world,
I see. They embody the rules, regulations, and authorities that he views as obstacles.
Exactly. So this encounter, it foreshadows their recurring presence in his life, often as a source of frustration, obviously, and a lot of conflict.
Yeah, it feels like the fire really symbolizes a culmination of all his losses and struggles, leaving him feeling displaced. Where does he go from here?
It's after this devastating event that Ove encounters Sonja.
This is a big turning point, right?
A huge turning point. Sonja is a woman who will change his life forever.
Okay, so tell me about Sonja. How do they meet?
Their meeting is almost serendipitous. He sees her on the train and he's immediately captivated.
So even grumpy Ove is susceptible to love at first sight.
Well, maybe not love at first sight, but definitely intrigued. He ends up riding the train with her every day for 3 months.
Wow, 3 months.
Just silently observing her before mustering the courage to speak to her.
It's kind of endearing, actually.
It is. Sonja, she's a vibrant, kind woman who sees past Ove's gruff exterior, recognizes his talent for building, and encourages him to take an engineering course, really nurturing his skills and helping him to channel his energy into something constructive.
So she brings a burst of color into his rather black and white world, maybe.
Yeah, she does. They fall in love, buy a row house, and even become friends with their new neighbors, Rune and Anita.
Okay, so life is starting to look up for Ove.
It seems so. He's got a loving partner, a home, even budding friendships. He seems to be finding his place in the world.
But knowing Ove's history with misfortune, I imagine this happiness is short-lived, right?
You're right. While on a trip to Spain, Ove and Sonja are involved in a horrific bus accident.
Oh no, so another tragedy.
Yes. And Sonja loses their unborn child and is paralyzed from the waist down. A devastating blow, really, that tests their love and their resilience.
It's hard to imagine the emotional and physical toll such an event would take on them.
It's a turning point in the story. Ove, the man who's always been so self-sufficient, now faces the challenge of caring for his wife while grappling with, his own grief and helplessness.
Right, his world is turned upside down.
Completely. But he channels his pain into action, rebuilding their entire house to accommodate Sonja's wheelchair, even battling those men in white shirts to ensure she receives the care she needs.
So his gruff exterior kind of melts away as his love for Sonja shines through.
It's a testament to their love, really, that they navigate this tragedy together. Sonja, despite her physical limitations, finds purpose in teaching troubled students, while Ove continues to be her rock, her unwavering support system.
It's inspiring to see how they support each other through such a difficult time.
It really is. However, their happiness is once again threatened by fate.
Okay, I can sense another tragedy looming.
Sonja is diagnosed with cancer.
Oh no, not Sonja too.
And despite Ove's, fierce determination to fight alongside her, she eventually succumbs to the disease.
This seems like the final blow, the loss that truly breaks him.
It is, and that's where we pick up the story in the present, 6 months after Sonja's death. Oven, now retired and utterly alone, lost in his grief. And he feels he has nothing left to live for.
So this is where his suicidal thoughts begin to surface.
Exactly. Ove, overwhelmed by his loss, decides he wants to join Sonja. He methodically plans his suicide, seeking a way to end his pain and reunite with his beloved wife. But as we'll see, fate, it seems, has other plans for Ove.
So we left off with Ove meticulously planning his departure from this world, ready to rejoin Sonja. But life has a way of interrupting things, right?
Oh, absolutely. Just as Ovi's about to enact his plan, a new family moves in next door. A boisterous family, I should say, disrupting his carefully ordered world with, chaos and life.
This is where we meet Parvana, right?
Yes, Parvana, the pregnant and very outspoken wife of Patrick, along with their two very energetic daughters.
They seem like a real force of nature, crashing into Ove's solitary existence.
Oh, they are. Their arrival is anything but subtle. They manage to back their trailer right into Ove's house. Oh, no. Not the house again.
An incident that, would ruffle anyone's feathers, let's be honest. But Parvana, bless her heart, is not easily deterred by Ove's grumbling. She sees him as a project, I think, a grumpy old man who needs a little kindness and, community.
She's got her work cut out for her.
She does. And despite his protests, Ove finds himself drawn into their chaotic world, helping them with their move, even accepting dinner from Parvana's daughters.
So those little acts of kindness, they start to chip away at his defenses.
They do. He even postpones his plans, unwittingly giving life another chance to intervene, you could say.
It's like those interruptions, as unwelcome as they may seem, are subtly nudging him back towards the world of the living.
Exactly. And then comes the cat, a stray that wanders onto Ove's property looking lost and forlorn, and Ove, true to form, tries to shoo it away, wanting nothing to do with it, of course.
But Parvana sees an opportunity, I bet.
She does. She insists on bringing the cat inside, much to Ove's dismay.
Ove's probably fuming at this point. Oh, I'm sure. But as the day progresses, we see a shift in him, He offers the cat food, even finds himself warming this shivering creature with a blanket. There's a hint of tenderness there, I think.
So crack in that gruff facade, his heart's starting to thaw.
It seems so. Even Jimmy, another neighbor who's allergic to cats, gets involved, offering his body heat to warm the cat. It's a funny scene, actually.
It really highlights this growing sense of community that's forming around Ove, whether he likes it or not.
People are drawn to him, despite his grumpiness, they see something beneath the surface. And just when Ove thinks he can finally get back to his plan, something dramatic happens at the train station.
What happens?
A man collapses onto the train tracks, and without hesitation, Ove leaps into action, pulling the stranger to safety just moments before a train comes barreling through.
Wow, that's heroic.
A spontaneous act of bravery, a testament to his sense of duty and his goodness, I think.
It seems like saving that life is a pivotal moment for him, forces him to confront his own mortality.
It's a turning point. And as he walks home, still shaken from the event, he notices the stray cat again, huddled in a snowdrift outside his house. This creature that was once an intruder now seems to represent something more, I think. A glimmer of hope.
And what does Parvana do?
Oh, Parvana, ever the catalyst for change, she convinces Ove to keep the cat, further cementing his connection to the world, really.
So we see this unlikely bond forming between the grumpy old man and this scruffy feline.
We do. He even takes the cat to visit Sonja's grave, a really poignant scene that reveals the depth of his love for his late wife.
It's a reminder that even as Ove starts to open himself up to new connections, Sonja's memory is still there.
Always present, shaping his actions and his worldview. And as Ove navigates this new phase of his life, he encounters other individuals who play significant roles in his transformation. There's Lena, the tenacious journalist.
Oh yeah, Lena.
She wants to write about Ove's heroic act at the train station, forces him to confront his past,
To acknowledge his own goodness, maybe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then there's Adrian, a young man who was Sonja's student.
So a connection to Sonja.
Yes, reminding Ove of her legacy as a teacher and her belief in the potential of others.
It's like all these people are challenging him to grow.
They are. And then there's Mirsad,
Adrian's friend.
who finds himself homeless after being rejected by his family for his sexuality.
That's terrible.
It is. And Ove, despite his initial reluctance, offers Mirsad a place to stay, showing a surprising capacity for compassion, I think.
It's really heartwarming to see Ove, the man who once kept everyone at arm's length, step into a fatherly role.
He does. He teaches Parvana to drive, helps Adrian fix his bike, even confronts Mirsad's father about his prejudice.
So he's becoming a pillar of his community, a protector of those in need.
He is, and this newfound sense of purpose is put to the test when Rune, his longtime neighbor and former friend, is threatened with being taken away by those men in white shirts. Remember them?
Oh yeah, the men in white shirts are back. What's happening with Rune?
Rune's got advancing Alzheimer's, and, they want to take him away.
So it's a call to action for Ove and the whole neighborhood.
It is. Ove, with his strategic mind and determination, orchestrates a plan to expose the wrongdoing of the man in the white shirt who's been targeting Rune. The entire neighborhood rallies behind him, using their collective power to challenge authority.
This is a battle for Rune's freedom, but also for the heart of their community, I think.
You're right. And their efforts are successful. They manage to keep Rune in his home. It's a victory for community. And as Ove basks in this triumph, we see him soften even more, embrace the joy of giving and connecting with others.
It seems like he's finally starting to let go of his grief, finding new meaning and purpose, even without Sonja.
He is. He helps Parvana and Patrick with home repairs, buys an iPad for one of the neighbor's daughters. He's becoming the man Sonja always knew he could be.
It's a beautiful transformation. But, I feel like there's more to this story. What happens next?
Well, as Oven embraces this new chapter, his heart, the one that has loved so fiercely and endured so much pain, it starts to show signs of wear and tear.
I have a feeling this isn't going to end well.
While foiling a burglary in the neighborhood, Ove has a heart attack.
Oh, no.
It's fitting, in a way, of putting himself at risk to protect his community.
He's always a man of action, even when his own body is failing him. What happens after the heart attack?
He's hospitalized. And it's Parvana who steps up, listing herself as his next of kin. She's become like a daughter to him. And as Ove recovers, she encourages him to let go of some of Sonja's belongings.
That's a really poignant moment.
It is. A recognition that healing doesn't mean forgetting. And as much as we might like Ove to live forever, we know that his time is coming to an end.
So the inevitable happens.
Ove passes away peacefully in his sleep. And his funeral, it's a testament to the impact he had on everyone. Hundreds of people come to pay their respects to the man they once called the neighbor from hell, now remembering him as a kind and generous friend.
It's a far cry from that solitary existence he once envisioned.
It is. A beautiful ending, really. A celebration of a life that blossomed into something truly special. And then in the very last scene, we see Parvana showing Ove's house to a young couple expecting a baby.
Oh, yeah. This part always gets me.
And guess what the husband drives?
A sob, right?
Just sob. It's perfect, isn't it?
It suggests that Ove's legacy will live on.
It does. A beautiful closing scene.
Wow. What a journey through the life of a man who, well, on the surface seemed like the epitome of grumpiness, but underneath it all, had a heart of gold. It's a story that really sticks with you. What about you? What resonated most with you about A Man Called Ove?
For me, I think it's the way Backman portrays grief, Ove's loss. It's just so palpable, and his
Yeah.
anger, his frustration. It's a very raw expression of his pain, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But there's also this humor woven into the sadness, like a recognition that even in those dark moments, life can still surprise you.
Yeah, it's true. And the way his community, all these quirky and persistent individuals refuse to let him wallow. It's both heartwarming and hilarious at the same time.
It is. They see the good in him even when he can't see it himself. And they just chip away at his defenses with kindness, with food. A healthy dose of chaos, I think.
Yeah, they really challenge his perception of the world, forcing him to open up and connect.
And ultimately, to heal. It's a reminder that, sometimes the people we least expect can become our greatest sources of comfort and support.
Absolutely. And that ending, with Parvana showing Ovi's house to that young couple and the husband driving a Saab, it's perfect.
It's a perfect encapsulation of his legacy, isn't it? His kindness, his integrity, it lives on.
It's subtle but powerful, that image. It leaves you with a sense of hope.
It really does. And it makes you wonder, will those new neighbors even know the impact Ove had on their very presence in that house?
It does make you wonder. It speaks to, the interconnectedness of life, right? The ways our actions can have consequences we never anticipate.
Exactly. A Finn who tried so hard to shut himself off from the world ended up leaving a profound mark on it, changing the lives of those he touched.
It's a testament to the transformative power of community, the unexpected ways our lives can intersect and change for the better. A Man Called Ove is a story about second chances, about finding hope in the most unlikely places.
And about love. The love we give and the love we receive.
It really is. So if you haven't had the pleasure of meeting Ove yet, I highly recommend picking up this book. It's a story that'll stay with you long after you turn that final page. And until next time, keep diving deep and keep exploring.
And remember, even the grumpiest exteriors can hide a heart of gold.